The church of the 21st century can become more of a prophetic voice to our culture by understanding, first of all, where we are. Just like with the GPS, you can't get to where you're going unless you first locate yourself. Where are you? And so where are we? And one of the things we have to understand about our culture is how they perceive things. Jesus said this way, some say that the Son of Man is a glutton and a winebibber, which means he was self-aware of how people in his generation were perceiving him. The church has to understand where we stand with people. We have to understand that if people do not see our integrity, they won't want to hear our truth, and they won't want to hear our prophetic input as it relates to society, solutions, and the problems that we have and we're facing today. So we have to understand where we're at. Now, what that means is, without a relationship to people, with people rather, we're not talking to people, we're actually talking at them. That's very important, very, very important to understand. That if we don't have a relationship with people, we're actually talking at them, not to them. That's how people perceive the church. And so we have to stop talking at people and start talking to people. The word of the Lord came to the prophets in the Old Testament, and then they took that word directly to who it was supposed to go to. So we have to be not only direct in what we say, but direct in who we say it to. And we have to understand that also, in the book of Acts, the prophetic experiences, the prophetic words, Peter's trance, Paul's vision of the man in Macedonia, all these prophetic experiences were in the context of bringing the gospel forward and reaching unreached people. There's 1.6 billion people, and if we're going to be a prophetic people, then we have to be a voice for those who have no voice, and we have to learn to see people who are invisible. We have to learn to be present in the moment with God and understand where is God leading us as it relates to people. And if we're going to be biblical about being prophetic, then we're going to have to be able to understand and see who the Holy Spirit is sending us to, because there's 1.6 billion people who have never heard. And so I believe the Spirit of God is directing this generation to be the voice of God in the earth, but also to those people. If we're going to be a prophetic voice, we're going to have to speak to the burning issues of our day. One of those issues that's not really talked about much in church, but we're going to have to become more familiar with the topic, especially as it relates to counseling, is the issue of mental illness. We're going to have to be able to care for people whose families have been affected by this. And so if we're going to be a prophetic voice in the earth, we have to learn to see.